Okay, so this video is a longer assembly video. We're going to put together this focusing housing for the Alum Anamorphic. Let's go. So the first thing we're going to do is take this bearing and brass rod and put it on the sort of assembly, and then we're going to attach that with a couple of screws. And so the idea here with this assembly is that this roller bearing makes contact with the edge of the housing, and is what allows it to sort of move smoothly up and down, making a very, very small amount of contact. This sort of assembly you often see on things like Cook lenses. Sometimes it's reversed, where the bearings will sit in the housing pointing in instead of on the lens assembly pointing out, but this works as well. I'm probably going to make this slot a bit thinner in the final version. It's a bit wide here just to give me a bit more freedom in case the bearing needs to move up and down, but really you just want to have it centered. And do that on both sides. There we go. So that's attached on both sides. Next step, we can put the glass in here. So I'm going to just grab the glass that I have over here, slot that into the housing, fits perfectly. And then on top of that, we're going to put the cover, secured with 4 more screws. Now we're going to get the housing itself. As you can see, maybe if you look on the inside, the bearing's going to run on this track in here. So basically we're just going to put it on, and you have on the housing itself these flat spots. You want to line these up with the holes in the housing. Actually, the thing to look out for here was that this bar needs to be pretty well centered. I might make this bar a tiny bit shorter, or cut it shorter in the options that are sent out so it doesn't interfere. And there you go, now you can see it slots in much more smoothly. If you look at this top edge, there's 4 screw holes, and these line up with these little brass guides that pop in. Technically, I suppose these are cam followers for a straight cam, but you can call them like guides or something else. And so you want to line these up. Sometimes you might have to shimmy over so that these screw holes start lining up, and then you can start screwing in. And you can see that this block is sort of cut all the way down, and this is so that the second screw that screws in is designed to flare these sides out and basically tighten the block onto the side, so there's no more side to side wobble, which there's a bit of now. You don't want to go too tight, but what I would actually recommend doing is screwing these down until they're kind of not movable at all anymore. And then once you've screwed on the other block, you do a quarter turn, untighten them a bit, and that'll give you a slightly better fit. I'm going to screw these tight for now, swap around to the other side, and get the second one in. You could, in theory, just make do with one of these blocks if you had the bearings laid out in a slightly different sort of configuration. Maybe have 3 of them instead of 2. So I've tightened these, and you can see how now, if I try to find, hope you can see it, but you can see how these screws are flaring this bit out, right? And what you want to do after is just take a slight turn, and now they're starting to move again. Same on the other side. So if this side is completely locked up, not moving, and I'm going to do like just a slight turn on this side, a slight turn on this side, and now it's moving. So now it's moving with very, 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 very little play side to side. The one thing you might want to do is lube these tracks. And so this edge right here could be good to put some lubricant on, and just to make this motion a bit smoother back and forth, basically. That again is up to you how you feel it. I will probably do it for the ones that ship out of here assembled, but if you're doing this as a kit, then that's an option. Now we are moving on to the lens cam. So you can see here you have this long track, and then you have an opening here on this end. This track is very, very tightly toleranced to about 50 to 25 micron. I don't remember exactly what I expected out to, but somewhere around there. And so the slot here is designed so that you can put in this little nylon follower through the hole, because pushing it in through the track itself would become very difficult. And so if you do it through the hole where there's much more space, and then you shove it into the track, right? The cam has a bearing in it, which I'll pop out and show you. So it has a slot back here, that you're going to pop this bearing into. And on top of that, you can actually already put the focusing ring. You can just lock them hand tight. If you use this with a follow focusing motor, you may very well want to put in some set screws. These are the types of set screws that I'm talking about, and they're called grub screws usually. And they have a tiny point, or sometimes they have like, here I guess better would be a little seat. Screw that into these holes. Should be good. So now this won't really move apart anymore. Okay, so now we have our two pieces, and we're going to pop these together. So now they just sit on top of each other, and what you can do is you can take the small retaining ring that we have here, and that goes into the threads of the back here, and simply you just screw that in. Ideally here you could use a spanner if you want to get it really tight, but finger tight is usually okay as well. You might as well want to lube this track a tiny bit, so with a brush run onto this track just to give it a little less friction when it's going. Rotate this over to the hole that we have it in, and it might take a little bit of force, but you just gotta like pop it in, and now they're both in alignment and should be moving pretty smoothly. Next we're going to take this M2x2 screw and put it in this little slot, and that will act as a stopper, which prevents the cam from going too far on either side and binding up. Last little bit, add on the cover that screws onto the top. You just kind of slide it on, screw it over, and it's on. This is the edge where you put on the grip afterwards. It has a glue-on sticky back. I would recommend probably putting another dab of glue underneath the grip because it has a tendency maybe to slip off a bit. The tape isn't that strong, especially in high temperatures. Next we can put on the rear glass. So you put the seat onto the body, screw it on. I've already dropped the glass in there. And then you put the cover on top. Screw that down. Next we can put the filter ring and the plate that goes on top. Screw those down and put the thumb screw in the cap on, and there you go. Okay, there we go. So that's a finished focusable housing. Yeah, so this will be available on the website, either in its fully finished form if you just want to purchase one, or as just a housing without glass for V2 owners who want to upgrade, or just change. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an upgrade, it's a different mechanism, it's much larger. Or alternatively, as just a DIY kit with all the parts but none of the assembly, and you do it yourself. Actually, I forgot the last bit. This little cover ring, which is only really to cover up the gap in between the front glass and the edge from sort of stuff coming in when you're in the infinity position. There you go. All right, thank you for watching.